Hey, welcome back everyone. How you doing? It's me, Mr. 4K Upscaler. So let's talk about Doom Eternal. Let's talk about this quote-unquote 4K, or for the lack of a better term, true 4K. Now, the 4K term, true 4K, has been thrown a lot lately, and in the past 6 years, the term true 4K means for native output source of resolution, which is 3840 by 2160, being natively rendered. Okay, and granted, there's certain games that support that resolution. Xbox One X has proven to us that they can do certain games if developers choose to do so. Okay, it's up to the developers whether they choose to run the game at the native 4K or whether they choose to use a dynamic resolution or in this case, checkerboard 1800p running up to scaled 4K resolution, meaning 1800p upscaled to 4K. All right. So they call it dynamic resolution. This technique's been used on Xbox One X a lot because developers have found out that if they're using this technique to reach that 4K resolution, then they have a much better performance. And remember, the whole idea of the video game, and in this case for developers who are working on the Doom Eternal, they're looking to have the best possible experience on that console or on that platform. So the reason I'm talking about all of this, it's because there's still people out there, there's still individuals out there who like to use this term called true 4K or not true 4K, and they're using it for one reason only, so they can get so they can profit money from people clicking on it. Okay, these YouTubers are all about just collecting the cash. They don't really care about you. They do only care about you coming in and clicking and liking and sharing and buying their merchandise. I mean, if you can't see that, then maybe you need to check yourself in some kind of clinic. All right, because what you're doing is you're helping these individuals make money on YouTube. Okay, it's as clear and cut case as that. I couldn't make it any more clear and cut. And one of the persons, obviously, I'm talking about is Yong Yea. Who is Yong Yea? Yong Yea, it's an individual on the YouTube who is a failed voice actor, okay, which I'm sure I could be a much better voice actor than him by millions of times, but I never pursue it, okay? If I wanted to pursue it, I could easily do it, okay? So, who is he? He's somebody who's just reading the news and putting his opinions onto the news so that way he can stir that news and have you guys come in and click on it, okay? So that way you guys can talk about it, and then you can go ahead and you know, have a conversation between each other while he's out there selling his merchandise, making his sponsors happy, and collecting that cash. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So there you have it. And if this bothers you, if you can't handle the truth, well, too bad. But that's pretty much what he's all about. All right? So, and Yong Yea, if you want to debate me, bro, anytime. Tell me when and where. I'll debate you any freaking time. But just remember, you're going to lose that battle with me. And he's never going to do it because he knows that I will just simply throw a bunch of light that will shed the truth onto what he's been doing. I'm pretty much going to expose him if he ever tries to come at me or listen. These individuals, they're never going to debate me because they cannot debate me. Because they know if they debate me, they're going to lose automatically. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this. All right, so recently, Yong Yea, well, few hours ago, I would say recently, few hours ago, he made a video where he posted where he said Google Stadia yet again fails to keep his promise, bringing a native 4K. Native 4K. First and foremost, find me a video where Google Stadia said that we're bringing a native 4K. By the way, that's Yong Yea with his Norton antivirus trying to sell it to me. That's my comedy bit. So tell me exactly where did Google Stadia say that we're announcing that all of our games will be running in native 4K. They said 4K 60, and in the future 4K 120 frames per second in the future. But they never said, hey, this November 19th, come in, join us for the grand opening of native 4K 60 FPS games. Okay, they never said they're gonna run it native 4K. So I don't know where you coming with this idea that they said native 4K, but we all know where you're coming with this idea, Yong Yea. You're coming with this idea because you need something to hate on Stadia. You need something. You need to grab onto something. And what are you grabbing onto? Obviously, this whole not true 4K propaganda crap. Well, Yong Yea, let me ask you this. Is your PlayStation 4 Pro running in a true 4K? Is your God of War running in a true 4K? Is your Destiny 2 on the PlayStation 4 Pro running in a true 4K? So are you going to call PlayStation 4 Pro not a true 4K console? Well, technically, it's not a true 4K then console. Xbox One X, it's not a true 4K console. There's only maybe a handful of games that are running in native 4K. Everything else, it's 1800p, 1900p, 1600p, using a dynamic resolution. And on the other side of the aisle, PlayStation, they're using a checkerboard resolution from 1440p to 1600p. And in some cases, 1800p, depending on what developers are able to utilize from PlayStation 4 Pro. So if you're gonna call a Google Stadia not a true 4K machine, then please, why don't you make a video and say that PlayStation 4 Pro is not a true 4K machine. Xbox One X was falsely advertised as a true 4K machine. PlayStation 4 Pro was truly misled by Sony that it's a true 4K machine. It's not a 4K machine. So let's not have double standards, okay? Then if you're going to say that Google Stadia is not a 4K machine, then you can say that PlayStation and the Xbox is not a 4K machine either. So basically, we have no 4K consoles. What we have is just a PC that can output that native 4K. So why don't you make that video, Yong Yea? But of course you're not going to make that video. Of course you're not going to make that video because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit your narrative. It doesn't fit your political agenda on this Google Stadia train. You've been riding on this Google hate trend, Stadia train for months now, since November. And what has it achieved? It hasn't achieved anything. Google Stadia is here, man. Google Stadia is here to stay. It's better you hear it from me than to hear it from somebody else. Do you really think that Google is going to invest all this money, hire Jade Raymond, hire the guy from Santa Monica Studios? You think they're going to be making plans and making deals with Ubisoft and Bethesda and even Activision and Blizzard? You think they're going to be making all these deals simply because they want to fail? They're making all these deals because they want to succeed. And they will succeed, but it's going to take time. It's going to take time. All right, so let me shed the light into this. I had to kind of go ahead and explain to you why I'm making this video, so that way you have better understanding why I'm making this video. That's why I spent almost 10 minutes explaining to you the whole purpose of this video. So now let's get back to the Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, let's go and check out the specs for Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal, obviously it's coming on the March 20th at 12 a.m. midnight, and it will be released. Okay, so let's look at specifications. Here we go. Stadia Doom Eternal unlocks at 12 a.m. same time as the Xbox. So let's look at the specifications on Doom Eternal. I'm only going to focus on the console versus Stadia. I'm not going to focus on PC versus console and Stadia, because PC, it's a PC. Everybody has a different setups. Everyone has a different rigs. So therefore, I'm not going to focus on the PC. I'm just going to focus on the console versus Stadia. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at the specs here. First, let's look at the Xbox One X. And I want you guys to pay attention here. I want you to read this. Hold on. Right here. On the Xbox One side right here. Just give me a second right here. Here we go. Alright, so this is the Xbox One X. And the reason I highlighted the Xbox One X is because I want you to see that there's really no difference between the Xbox One X version and the Stadia version. Alright, so let's see. Doom Eternal on the Xbox One X. Doom Eternal on Xbox One X will upsample to 4K 2160p from 1800p 60 FPS, which is something that ID Software and Bethesda has done in the past. Okay, why they're doing this? Well, because it gives the best possible experience, and that's why they're using this method. So Doom Eternal on the Xbox One X will upsample to 4K 2160p from 1800p with 60 frames per second and high dynamic range. What does this mean? Upsample to 4K from 1800p. 1800p, it's your source resolution, and the source resolution, it's 1800p, which is pretty darn good. Okay, it's higher than 1440p, it's higher than 1600p, it's 1800p. It's a pretty good pretty good source resolution to upscale to 4K. Okay, so and that's the method they're using to achieve the 4K. It's 1800p source resolution upscaling to 4K, which they have done in the past. So that's what we got on the Xbox One X. Okay, now let's scroll down to Stadia. I want you to pay attention to this. Now I want you to watch and check the Stadia specifications. Let's go to Stadia. Let's highlight Stadia. Here we go. Alright. So Doom Eternal on Stadia will run 1080p 60 FPS on high definition displays. That's if you are running Google Stadia on your HD monitor. Okay. Now, if you're running Google Stadia on your 4K HDR television with the Chromecast Ultra, then you're gonna get a up sample to 2160p from 1800p with 60 FPS on 4K displays, and you will also have a support of HDR. And here it is. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Here, let me highlight it for you guys. It's exactly the same as the Xbox One X. They're using the same method that they're using on the Xbox One X. So upsample to 2160p from 1800p, meaning that they are using 1800p source resolution, and that source resolution 1800p, it's being upscaled to reach 4K with 60 frames per second, and of course the HDR metadata, which is also supported, which is down here. So no difference between Doom Eternal on the Xbox One X and Google Stadia. The only difference is that on Google Stadia, you don't have to worry about downloading this big giant file of a game. You don't have to worry about the updates. You don't have to worry about whether or not you have an extra space on your hard drive, or you might have to delete some stuff to keep this game running. You don't have to worry about that, okay? Because all you have to do is click a button, you're good to go on Google Stadia. That's the only difference. That's the convenience that you get with purchasing this game on Google Stadia. But you know what, Yong Yea, you're not gonna sit down like I'm sitting down right now. You're not gonna go through all of this and explain everything in detail like I'm explaining right now. And you sure as hell ain't gonna comment on this video either. Why? Because you're the guy that's sitting close, that's sitting at the 1 million subscribers, so you don't care. Okay? But guess what? Others will care. They're gonna look at your flaws and they're gonna say that this guy is totally biased, and it's ignoring the facts, and it's twisting the facts to fit his narrative, to simply hate on a brand. I'm not a Google fanboy. I don't care about the brands. But I'm not going to sit here and ride on some stupid hate train bandwagon of Google Stadia hate fan, band. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to join that bandwagon of just simply hating on a company because it happens to be Google. Dude, you're like totally biased. You're like beyond biased, man. And you go into the same category as the Dreamcast guy, the Inside Gaming, and of course Digital Foundry, which I have already called out, But let's go look at the Xbox One X version again. Let's go up and let's go check out the Xbox One X version. Keep an eye on this. 1800p, upscaled to 4K with 60 FPS and support for HDR. Let's go to the Xbox One X version. What do we see here? Oh, look at that. Xbox One X will upsample to 4K 2160p from 1800p source resolution at 60 FPS, and it also supports HDR metadata. Exactly the same specs. So, when you're trying to tell me that Google Stadia is not a 4K service, then Xbox One X is not a 4K service. PlayStation 4 Pro is not a 4K service. Then they're not. I'm going to say this again, and I said it like gazillions of times. Even Phil Spencer himself has said this. Developers choose how their games will run on our systems, just like Bethesda has chosen to have Doom Eternal run this way instead of native 4K. Can Google Stadia achieve native 4K? Of course they can, but Bethesda did not want to do that for whatever reasons. We don't know. Maybe because the way the engine is running and it's it's not running properly the way it should be at the steady 60 FPS. They want people to have a smooth experience. So that's why they're using this approach. Okay? Developers, same thing will happen with the Xbox Series X. I don't give a rat's ass that it has 12 teraflops. I don't care if it has 24 teraflops. It doesn't mean a diddly. Developers will choose on how they want their games to run. Phil Spencer cannot make these developers and tell them, hey, we want you to run this game at certain resolution, at a certain frame rate. They can ask them, but developers eventually will choose how they want to run their games on that platform. Okay? But you don't talk about that, Yong Yea. You don't mention that. That doesn't even occur to you. But that's okay. Here's a guy, a nobody, with 36,000 subscribers, without any sponsors. He's going to tell you that. Front and center, right in front of the camera. Okay? So, listen, guys. This is why I got agitated with these numbers being thrown. Where people are saying, oh, if it's 1600p, I'm not going to play it. Oh, if it's 1800p, I'm not going to... No. If my PlayStation version it's running only at 1600p, I'm not going to play it. I'm going to buy the Xbox One X for $500 because it's running at 1800p. As if you can tell a difference between 1600p and 1800p. Nobody that I know of can tell a difference between 1600p and 1800p. Just not gonna happen, cousin. People cannot tell that difference. Why? Because it's not a big gap of ratio of pixels. In order for you to see a difference, it has to be a gigantic juggernaut ratio of pixels in order for you to see that. In order for you to see that difference, that juggernaut difference. Okay? But hey, I digress. So, listen. Google Stadia is 4K. I have videos where I showed you it's running in 4K. I have captured 30 seconds videos captured in 4K. It's 4K. It's 4K. Either A, you're 1080p HD, or you are 4K. I don't care how you reach 4K, whether you use a dynamic resolution, to upscale, to checkerboard. It doesn't matter. It's still a 4K. And HDR is the HDR. It's a 10-bit. It's utilizing a 10-bit, not 8-bit. It's utilizing a UHD color of 10-bit metadata. Okay? So I've been doing this for 6 years. I don't need anybody to educate me about the 4K HDR. I don't need anybody to educate me about how resolutions work. And I don't need anybody to educate me about how televisions and how monitors work, because I've been doing this for so many years. I have monitors, televisions, I have it all. I don't need anybody to tell me otherwise. So, well, anyway, there you have it. So, which version am I going to buy? Google Stadia version. Why wouldn't I? With the Google Stadia version, I don't have to worry about any extra hard drive space that I need to make for that game alone. A bunch of updates. I don't have to sign into Bethesda network. I don't have to wait for any ridiculous updates. And I sure as hell don't have to worry about my console overheating and running like some kind of jet engine. Click. Ready to go. I just need the internet and I'm good to go. And if I want to take it with me, I can play it on my phone. Take it with me and play it on my phone. Or if I want to, I can go to my office and play it on my PC, desktop, without using my GPU and CPU, and I can play it with mouse and keyboard. And then I can go back and play on both my QLED or OLED OLED television. I have a variety of choices on how I can play Doom Eternal on Google Stadia. When you purchase it on the Xbox, you can only play it on the Xbox. Meaning you have to be tethered to that console to play it from that console. And you got to carry that console with you, in hope that wherever you take that console will have a 4K HDR television. Okay? With Google Stadia, you have more convenience. And this is what I was talking about. With Google Stadia, you're paying for the convenience. You're paying for the convenience so that way you can have a convenient way of playing the game. But Yong Yea will never mention that. Oh, I wonder why. Gee whiz, why you won't mention it? Oh, we all know why. It doesn't fit your negative, bashing, hate Stadia wagon train that you've been riding for past 3.5 months. I have criticized Google Stadia, but at least I'm fair. I covered both positives and negatives, and that's what makes me relevant. I'm not sponsored. I'm unbiased, and I cover both positives and negatives. And I don't ride any kind of a fanboy train, nor do I ride any kind of a hate wagon train. I'm unbiased. And that's something that you're never going to be, Yong Yea. I don't care how many millions of subscribers you cheat your way out on that algorithm, but you're never going to be like me. You're never going to be unbiased like I am. And that's why I'm still relevant. That's why people still watch my videos. That's why I have 22 million lifetime views. Those are people who came to watch me. Okay? So, anyway, that's all I want to say about that. And Doom Eternal Can't wait to play it. It's almost here. It's almost here, man. I'm going to do a live stream on it March 20th, and we're going to test it on Google Stadia. I'm only going to focus on Google Stadia, guys, because that's what I want to test. I want to test the Google Stadia version, okay? And that's going to be my main priority. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is not a knock on Yong Yea, okay? But I do have to expose him for what he is, obviously. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. If I was to sit at the bar or a coffee shop and we had a cup of coffee and we were talking, I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy. But I do have to, expose him for what he is. He's just after the money. He really doesn't care whether Google Stadia fails or wins. He doesn't care. He's just there to make money, and he's exploiting the breaking news, the trending news. He's a trending speaker. Whatever's trending, he is repeating, and then he puts his own take on it, and then he stirs shit up. Whether it's Bethesda, whether it's Activision, EA, or who have you, he likes to put his own spin on it, and that's fine. That's what you do. That's what you do. But I'm just kind of letting people know who he really is. And another thing before I finish this video, guys, the reason it's 720p is because I knew that this video was going to be longer than what I originally thought. So that's why I'm recording this at 720p 60, because I want this video to be able to process faster. Okay. All right. So, yeah, guys, it's either 4K or it's not a 4K. I don't want to hear this term used, fake 4K. No such thing as a fake 4K. Either A, you are reaching that resolution number, or B, you're not reaching that resolution number of pixels. Okay? Now, outsourcing that resolution with a native count of pixels, that's pretty awesome. That's what everybody wants to see. But 4K is still 4K. Okay? So let's not get things twisted. All right? Let's not have double standards. Okay? I'll try to end this video very shortly in this sentence. If you're going to call Google Stadia not true 4K and HDR service, then you need to call Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro. You need to call them out and tell people they're not true 4K HDR machines either. That's if you don't want to have double standards, but I'm pretty sure you want to have double standards so that way you can fit your narrative against Google Stadia. And let me just end it there, and then there you have it. I showed you the specs, and you saw what you saw. All right, guys, have a good one, though. Take care.